Good evening. This is Baron Russell Fletcher, also known as Uncle Buck, coming to you from Fletcher Finance, provided by Aaron Gold Group. Well, let's see here. Today is the 4th of November, which means tomorrow is Tuesday, November 5th, which is Election Day. So I'm just going to keep this short and sweet because as far as the markets are concerned and everything, everybody's not sure what's going to happen, and they're holding their breath. So here's my prediction: Kamala Harris will win the presidency. Donald Trump will claim victory, even though he doesn't actually win. And there's going to be a whole lot of lawsuits, and in the end, there's going to be a lot of people that are upset and a lot of people that are going to be happy. With all that being said, this is my personal opinion to everybody that's watching this, either now or in the future, depending on when the great algorithm gods of YouTube decide that I should grace your YouTube feed. We are all Americans, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Green Party, whatever. We're all Americans. And we need to remember that not only we're Americans, but one of the greatest things about this country is we can criticize things without getting violent. We can investigate things without getting violent. We have personal autonomy. And that every American, whether Democrat, Republican, man, woman, whatever, has the right to freely express and safely express their opinions and to vote the way that they see fit. We have forgotten as a country how to be respectful to people. We've gotten too used to, frankly, we just gotten too used to being jackasses. You know, the rest of the world looks at us and they're not sure what to make of us anymore. You know, we used to be the friendly Americans. You know, you could go to the United States and everybody was friendly, and you know, we all liked apple pie and we all liked baseball, and everybody just, you know, had this idea that, you know, Americans were a certain way. You know, now a lot of the world, for better or for worse, and whether it's true or not or true, or depending on that scale where we land, looks at us as a quasi banana republic. Yeah, we are fortifying our capital city. We are fortifying vote counting offices. Uh, we have district attorneys, you know, like over in Philadelphia, that are getting on TV and literally saying "F around and find out." It's it's sad what we have come to, and this country has been divided before, very deeply at times. I mean, you know, all you gotta do is look at the Civil War. I mean, I don't know how much more deeply you can get divided than, you know, literally shooting at each other, you know, brother against brother and family against family. But I encourage and implore everyone that we need to go back to being civil. We need to go back to civil discourse. And that we are a land of laws, rules, regulations, and statutes that not only help guide us, but protect us. It should not be necessary to be walking around um, armed because you're afraid that somebody from the other party, other political party, is going to harm you. It used to be that when we were all pretty much civil with each other, that if you got into a confrontation that required violence, it was against somebody that was trying to do you harm because they were trying to steal from you, or they were trying to take your life, or they were, trying to harm you physically in some way. Not because you had a different political idea, not because you have a different idea of how things should be, and if the other side doesn't like it, well, tough, we'll just kill them. That's not who we are as Americans. At least it's not who we were. We used to be a beacon of light on the hill for the rest of the world. Yeah, and one of the reasons that we always held the moral high ground when it came to conflicts like World War One, World War Two, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, the even the wars back when we were a young country, going over to the Barbary Coast and fighting pirates and stuff, was because people knew that Americans were moral people and they were civil people, and that, to put it in the words of the great Teddy Roosevelt, President Teddy Roosevelt, and fellow Republican, I might add, speak softly and carry a big stick. And that's how Americans used to deal with things. We used to speak softly, sometimes a little bit too loud for most people to really appreciate, but speak softly and carry a big stick. But now we yell and we scream, and we don't carry a big stick anymore. Now it's a assault rifle that's been modified so that it's fully automatic, so that we can, so somebody can go off and shoot off their mouth and they shoot off their firearm. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against firearms. I was trained at a very young age to shoot. My dad was a part-time gunsmith, and not just to private people, but even for our county and our county sheriff and our city PD back in the 70s and 80s. And I have no problems with guns. I go out and I shoot guns. I believe in self-protection and stuff like the Castle Doctrine. But even in the Wild West, which I'm also a fan of, people were civil for the most part. It wasn't like they were having a shootout at high noon every single day. That was the last resort, not the first. The first resort was to talk things out, usually over some really bad whiskey or some locally brewed beer that you're kind of wondering about, especially if you were in the outhouse a couple of hours later. Now, but the point is that we need to find ourselves as Americans again and go back to when America was great. During the times of prosperity, when we had people like Teddy Roosevelt in charge and General Eisenhower. And remember that the only way that we can continue as the country that we are and continue this experiment, which this is an experiment, is a experiment that's been running for almost 250 years, well, actually almost 300 years now, depending on when you want to start. In the greater scheme of things, we're young, not only as a country, but as an experiment, as an idea in government. And in the greater scheme of things, if you want to talk about historical time, we're a little blip on the map. And if you want to talk about geological time, humans as a species is a blip on the map. The dinosaurs were around longer than we've been around. They got taken out by an asteroid, and we happened to pop up and became the sentient beings on this planet. And that's a gift. That's a gift from evolution or God or Buddha or Allah or whatever deity you wish to pray to or don't pray to. I'm not, the point is that we have been through circumstance given this gift, and to just flutter it away because one guy has an opinion the way that things should be run, and one gal has an opinion of the way that things should be run, and one is willing to be extremely violent and the other one is not. There's no way to be at the zenith and at the pinnacle of what we're at right now. And just remember that after Election Day, you still have lives to get back to. We'll vote tomorrow on November 5th. And the world will keep going. You will have to go back to work. Capital markets will be open. The judiciary will be running. The Congress will be running. The rest of the world will be running. Things just keep spinning around day after day after day. So don't get so caught up with this election that you forget that there is a whole world that we are a part of. And let's not let history repeat itself. January, and some of you are saying, well, you're talking Hitler. You think that Trump's Hitler. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's not let history repeat itself. January 6th never should have happened. It never should have happened. And if we were a civil people, like we claim to be, and that we project to the rest of the world, it never would have happened. Yeah, they could have stayed out there and they could have protested, which is fine. That's one of the wonderful things about this country, is our ability to protest and our willingness to put up with protests. No matter how dumb we may think of it individually. But to actually storm the capital of this great country and force your way in and injure law enforcement that was there to try to protect everybody, including the people that were trying to get in, is unacceptable. We do need to make America great again. But we need to remember what made America great in the first place. And that was the philosophy and thinking of great people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin and Alexander Hamilton and John Adams. That we are a civil people, that we can figure out what we should do with our pen, not our sword. That we need to come to the debate table to settle things. We need to come to the tavern table and discuss things in a civilized manner. And remember that our swords, or in modern case, our guns and our armaments, are meant as a last resort. an absolute last resort, not the first. So with all with that being said and everything, I'm getting preachy over here. And if you're watching this in the future, I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about stuff like this. I've For all of you people watching this in the future, I'm talking future, like 60, 70 years from now, when I'm probably dead already. It was a very interesting time. Read the history books. It was a very interesting time to be alive. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye because it is nearly midnight my time Pacific. And frankly, I want to go back to bed. Well, actually, I was laying down. I got to do this, and now I want to go to bed. And yeah, I'm just a random guy on YouTube or whatever you're viewing this on now, at whatever time you're viewing it. That's just saying be civil, be American, be prideful in America. And remember, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. I am Russell Fletcher, also known as Uncle Buck, being a little sentimental. And I say to you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and if I don't see you later, good night. And if you have a birthday today, happy birthday.